theatre. We're talking theatre, and it is
Theatre,
being
darlings.
recorded.
Okay.
Put your best
I
voice
probably
on.
won't have much to contribute now.
We're talking
We'll do our
theatre
hair, we'll
and
put
we're
our voice on.
recording.
Okay.
The last meeting, somebody said that they had heard that Dave Praties had died, and he saw the recording of this meeting, and he
Oh my goodness!
he kind of commented about on that and said,
Wow.
where did this rumor come from about my
Terrible.
untimely
My untimely
Rumours of
country too.
That sounds very typical somehow. Let's make up a rumor. Let's make up a
Rumour
rumor.
mill.
Who?
Let's start a rumour mill.
long time ago, I was doing a rendition of Albert and the Lion, the monologue, and I said, made
Marvelous, yes.
by the late Stanley Holloway, and this woman in the audience said, he's not dead, and I said, isn't he? And she said, no, he's alive, and he died that night.
Oh, no.
Well, as long as you didn't, darling, that's all that matters.
Thanks for that, Richard.
Well, I thought I could go back and say, no, I was right. It might have only been 5 minutes ago, but...
Richard, didn't you fill in for another famous actor on the day of his demise?
Oh, Quentin Crisp.
Oh, that was a terrible night.
Oh, really? Did you, Richard?
Yeah, I knew Quentin quite well, and he came to Manchester from New York, and his first show was going to be at the Green Room.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, so sad.
He died overnight.
On Claude Road, which is parallel to where I live.
Yeah.
He was in Diggs, wasn't he? He was in Diggs.
He was
yeah, Claude Road, Chorlton.
Lady, and she said he had a beautiful room, and we put flowers there, and well, of course, Quentin liked living in his shit.
Yes, the old dusting adage, yeah?
He used to say, the dust doesn't get any worse, but you do have to jump up and down when you're putting your velvet trousers on.
I had a friend who always quoted him on that, but not the velvet trousers bit. He justified his own filth.
Me and Dave Hoyle, wasn't it? And somebody else, I can't remember the other person, we did our show for him.
Yes, that's right. You had to fill in for him.
We have, yes. Which was quite an honour, really.
And as I remember, you did it admirably, and it was such an emotional evening, and everybody really needed your performance that night. I remember it. It was a really special occasion.
It was the only thing on the stage.
It's been a very difficult thing to do, Richard.
I more or less just impersonated him and did what he does. I did his show. Dave did a far more inventive thing. But the only thing on the stage was the hat stand with his fedora on it.
It's very poignant.
That kind of got me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Goodness.
very emotional evening. But
Any other emotional evenings? Does anyone have any emotional evenings? Well, particularly from the Green Room, I suppose.
There's so many. I mean, come on. It was an emotional place.
Yeah.
I was tired and emotional quite a lot.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of that. But also, there was a lot of collaborating went on in that bar, as I remember. You know, it's where people came to talk about ideas, and a lot of them turned into shows and collaborations. And that's what I loved about that time, was just, you know, it wasn't so much if you failed, but if you didn't try, that was the bit that got the, you know, give it a go. It was very much a kind of give it a go culture at the time. It was such fun. Yeah.
Really wonderful.
That's what I was telling Rebecca a while ago, just before. How did you get involved, Rachel, with the Green Room?
As with so many things, by accident, really. I think I bumped into Steve. Come on, Rebecca, you know all about this. At the opening of the Corner House Bar, the first birthday,
Yeah.
And I bumped into him, we got chatting, and he said he was setting up a new project called Foundation Productions. And through that, I met Rebecca and also the people who started the green room. And so there were jobs going. And I thought, well, this would be a good thing to do, to meet people and have fun.
Yeah.
So we all turned up on the first night and tried to make a go of it. And I just remember it being such a brilliant atmosphere and all that sort of positive. It was a mess. We weren't ready, but yes, I met lots of people.
So the people you would have met, Rachel, would have
Rest is
been what?
history.
Stella, Jeremy,
Stella and Jeremy.
what's he called?
Self,
Simon
Ricky.
Cherry? Simon Cherry?
Simon Cherry.
Yes, I think everybody was there, and I was
There were
working
more.
behind the bar.
Yes, as was I at some point. I think
I
at
think
that time, when it
Did you-
opened, I was the press officer
That's
for
right,
3
yeah.
months. I have no idea how I managed that, but I was the press officer for 3 months, and then thought, fuck that, I don't know how to do that. The bar was
How
much
did you
better.
find the Manchester press?
I don't
Very
think I
receptive,
remember.
How
I
did they
think.
find you?
I think
More
I
to the
just,
point.
I think what you did at the time, isn't it? You wrote like a press release that probably somebody else wrote, folded it, put it into envelopes and sent it off. I don't think I remember much else.
They used to ring me up practically every week saying, have you got anything for Mr. Manchester's diary? And we go, oh,
Mr. Manchester's Diary, yes, there is a
That's City
thing.
Life.
I've got copies of City Life in my basement still.
And
I've
that's
got
Chris
one with
Paul.
Carolina Hearn sitting on the toilet, and it was a piss take, and it was saying "hi-oh" as opposed to "hello," and she was marrying Hooky. It was very, yeah, good times.
And that's the Chris Paul era as well, because he co-started that with Andy Spinoza,
Yeah, yeah.
City Life. So he could be a good one to bring in here at some point with the various things that were happening.
Spinoza.
Andy
I
Spinoza.
nearly bought a
Chris
car
Paul,
off
to
him
bring
once.
Chris Paul in actually, because he was involved in theatre to facilitate it, to enable it. But yeah.
and then later at City Life, we had Gay Life, which was a sister paper to it.
Yes.
Which, I wrote for both of them, I think. Can't remember.
Philippa, did you ever get roped in at the green room? I know you were often there doing creative things, but did you ever get
never
involved in the
worked there.
rigmarole?
Not really. I always try to keep out of rigmarole.
Very wise.
Float in and out.
Good for you.
No, but
An ethereal
yeah, I
presence,
spent
as
a
I
lot of
remember.
time there and know a lot of the characters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about Mark Whitelaw and that turning into the Glee Club with several other people? Is that still in the time period, Camden, that this spans till 94?
Yes.
Or that yes. So
Well,
that would
I
be-
mean, that's a rough thing, a rough sort of time period.
Okay.
But I think, they started around that time, didn't they? And
Yeah, because Mark was also working at the Green Room
he was
bar with all of
working
us,
Yeah.
and doing the
Yeah.
children's Sundays and
I remember that.
Sunday fun days.
Sunday Fun Day. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you remember when Stella dressed up as a tomato? That was
I know
quite.
about
That
it.
was quite an
I
evening.
saw it.
Yeah. She dressed up as one of
Okay.
those squeezy tomato things, ketchup bottles. She was hilarious. She was
Because
always so game for a laugh.
Yeah, and Stella was the first person I met apart from Ricky in Kendall's at that time in 1980 or 81, dressed up as a Christmas tree or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she always got stuck in, but she was also a fantastic programmer and she just loved making things happen. But she had a real kind of knack of getting everyone to join in, as I remember. She kick-started a lot of careers, did Stella. She
did, yeah.
She was a powerhouse.
Leave tomatoes. I've got to tell you the story. I did a tour of a kiddies thing called The Adventures of the Smarty Man, in which I played a carrot. And I don't know whether you remember Sally Sheridan, who was a timid tomato. She's now an agent. And we also had a bad egg in it, was my friend Rob, and I think a cunning cauliflower. As I recall. And we used to tour around in Rob's, remember those old yellow Citroen cars where the roof came off?
Oh yeah, CV2.
The Chevaux.
Yeah. And we had the 6-foot-high Smarty tube, which stuck through the roof. And we hadn't had time to change between one gig and another. And we were going from Wigan to Liverpool. So we got into Liverpool and this policeman stopped us. And there's a bad egg driving this car with a cunning cauliflower and a timid tomato and a crazy carrot and a 6-foot-high Smarty tube. And this policeman said, I know there's something wrong with that, but I can't think what it is, so fuck off.
That's great.
What are your memories, Camden? You did quite a lot of work at that time. Come on. What are your highlights?
I remember working with Pete Faulkner Murphy
Oh, yeah.
and Steve Boys.
Steve,
Was
yeah.
that Pete Faulkner? We're talking Dracula, aren't we?
Dracula, yes, and some other stuff as well. We did.
Yeah. So it's Pete Faulkner. Yeah.
But you were in Dracula, weren't you? And Pete and Belinda was in that as well.
That's right.
And that was all quite mad and memorable.
I thought Dracula was great. I thought it was a great little piece of simple theatre.
I'm trying to place it.
Yeah.
I must have seen it.
We performed it in the foyer at the Royal Exchange.
Was it a spoof?
Not actually inside the Royal Exchange, but outside.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The pod.
Was it a spoof?
Really?
It was theatre and promenade, so we
Yeah.
moved around the audience. The audience moved with us.
I must have seen it.
We took it very seriously, actually, and Steve was very sort of, he'd written a really good script, and he really got us to to get into the kind of horror thing, a horror genre.
He was good. You're right, actually, Camden. He was thoughtful, wasn't he, and articulate.
Yeah, and being an actor himself, a very experienced actor himself, he knew exactly, what you needed to hear,
Yeah.
and what you
That's
didn't
true,
need,
yeah.
what you didn't need to hear as well, So
I remember there was a lot of stuff happening in strange places. It was quite a thing to be performing and collaborating with other disciplines to make things happen, outdoors, under arches, in clubs, not necessarily in theatre spaces. And there was quite a lot of potential for that in Manchester because it wasn't as developed as it is now. So there were some really, strange spaces that lent themselves to happenings and people not necessarily following the rules. I thought that was always interesting.
well, the
Especially
great
in
group
That's so true.
that was Wally Range All Stars. They were, and we had them on here in the first one, I think, and they were. That was
Or
really
second,
interesting
maybe,
talking to them because they were doing stuff, in Castlefield, which we later did shows in, and in the
We did Summer's Night Dream,
Campbell's
didn't
and
we?
stuff like that.
Right, we were talking to Ian about it before you joined us.
All right.
And I was just saying what a fab time we had on that. I loved that show. Loved
And
it.
which
Then
show?
when did Off the Rails figure? That was quite an early one, wasn't it? And in the green rooms
Yeah,
history. You
I
were
think
doing
Off
that,
the
Rebecca. That's
Rails
when I
was
met you.
86.
I was one of the rabble. Wasn't I? That's what you called it.
It would have been 86.
I remember how horrified you were having one of the rabble turn up at your office and end up working.
That's your story, Rachel.
I know. I just
But it's
I
a
just
lovely
looked at your
story.
face,
It's
honey.
a
I looked
lovely
at your
story.
face.
I don't think I would have even known what the word meant, and if I used it, it would have been
Oh,
for
you
the sound of it.
did. It was a joke. It's funny. No, it was a joke.
Rabble. How would I know rabble with the English that I
You
had at
don't
that
know
time?
that word. Oh,
I didn't know it then. I know
I
it
must
now.
have
I
made
probably
it
meant
up.
rebel rather than rabble. Actually, there's no way I would have used that. So you made that up, but it's a lovely story.
Oh,
So
all
keep it.
right.
I
Okay.
think it was 86 because Roshana was born 87, and after Off the Rails, we did the Hacienda thing. Or was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
before? No, it was before.
The thing of the 10th summer, 12th,
Festival
whatever
10
summer
summer,
it was.
but maybe that was before Off the Rails. Maybe
No,
Roshana
Off
was
the
born
Rails was first. I wasn't in,
first.
and then I was involved in the next one because
Yeah, you were involved in the Festival of the 10 summer.
yeah. And then but Foundation
Hacienda.
was involved with
Before.
Fusion and Caboodle, wasn't it? And that was very much in the early stage. I
Well, that
remember
opened the green room.
yeah.
That opened the green room, and the emotional side. Camden, you were asking about emotional. Yes, it was quite exciting to open the green room show, and the windows were still not in. I remember that.
I remember
remember
that
that?
as well.
We were
Yeah.
The
serving
windows
alcohol
were
out
not
of boxes.
in at the green room.
Yeah.
That was so funny. But yeah, and we have a photocopying story, don't we, Rachel, as well?
I used to get very flustered around the photocopier because I could always feel Rebecca's eyes burning into the back of my head. So I used to always screw it up, and she's taunted me with it ever since. I couldn't get things to reduce into a particular corner. It was
I
a
wish we
failure
get
of
the
mine.
photocopiers back. And just, I'm actually missing folding things and putting them into envelopes.
know.
It took 3 days
It
and
was
then
very
send them
manual.
out.
Very
I know.
manual.
I'm missing it, and then people would sort of tick things and send them back and go, I'll come to this show or to that course or something. There was a labor of love involved, and now it's just like you send an email out to thousands of people in a matter of 10 seconds. It's quite strange.
So much easier now. It was very much, there were a lot of
It's
runs to the
boring.
post office, people's mail shots. And I always remember the dread of starting booking somebody's tour and thinking,
yeah,
are they going to get any work here? But they did, fortunately.
Yes,
I thought it was a marvelous jump forward when you could actually fax press releases.
Faxes. I loved the noise. I still remember the boing, boing, boing. Do you remember that?
Rolling down.
They don't make them like they used to.
Everybody remember their
Did you get anyone from Lip Service in yet?
Yes.
Maggie was going to join you at one time, wasn't she?
Maggie
now
and Sue. Maggie and Sue. And we had a whole session on them, and I wish you'd been at that one because
it would have been good, wouldn't it? I still work for them. It's funny because I had a break and totally changed direction. I work with shipping lawyers now for my sins. Anyway, and they needed somebody to book tours again. And well, no, I went for a drink with Sue, and things were tricky. And I just said, well, look, if there's anything I can do. And she rang me the next day and said, will you book our next tour for us? I thought you
that's a dangerous
question. Just the one. I think we're how many, 6-7 years down the line now. But yes, it's lovely because
you'll never be free, Rachel. You'll never be totally free.
The stress.
I went to see them, Rachel, in I think Eastbourne. I wouldn't swear.
Did you? Which one?
It was the Strangers on a Train set.
You saw Strangers? Oh, good.
And it was lovely to see them. Oh, no, it was Newbury. I saw them in Newbury.
They're lovely people. They're still making shows, and they're still touring. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, most of it.
We saw them in Greenwich, didn't we, Richard?
Greenwich, yes, that was the Agatha Christie one, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, the Agatha Christie thing, yeah.
Yeah.
We actually went all the way to, me and my friend Dossie went all the way from London to Oldham to see them.
That is impressive. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Partly, yes, to see them, and we very much wanted to see it, but I'd heard that Oldham Coliseum was closing and moving into...
Well, it was. It has been about to close for a long time, but they can't
started my
do
career
much about it.
Really wanted to see the theatre again.
It's a lovely space, but it's got asbestos problems.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Oh,
by
right.
the way, Halifax Square Chapel has just been bought up. It went bust just as lockdown happened, and
Oh.
a new
Oh my
group of
goodness.
people have just taken it on, so it's going to open again. So hurrah for theatres
Oh, it's a good
Good
news.
Good.
rather than close.
Good news. Great.
Yeah. So, what would you like us to talk about?
That's a very awkward question to answer.
Yes, he was asking for emotional moments earlier. I'm not sure we gave him any emotional moments.
Okay, emotional moments.
What,
I did.
Rebecca, what was the worst review you ever got?
Oh, you old charm again. What
The
was the
worst
worst review
review.
you?
I don't think I had many reviews, actually. I think that may be the worst thing. The worst one
Right.
might have been the first ever when I came in 1980, and it was with Public Spirit, but I don't remember what they were writing, but they didn't realize my name, so they made up something. But basically, it was just wasn't slating at all. It was sort of like maybe a bit of a shocked review about the nudity on stage with Public Spirit, because we were all naked.
A living theatre type of thing, wasn't it?
Well, it was, I don't know if it's called living, it's just naked.
It's your hair moment, is it? Just to be really old-fashioned. I tell you the one that
Look,
I
I
always
didn't know what I
remember.
was saying at that time. I was just learning lines. I didn't have I didn't, sorry, I didn't speak English enough to actually understand the performance. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the other So, sorry, before you go away, I don't remember any bad reviews at all.
It's the
No.
best way. I remember some good reviews for a show that, again, was for you. It was quite groundbreaking in its time. You're Changing Shape. When you were
Oh,
pregnant
really?
with Rajana, yeah, those images of you dancing with Mike were just stunning, and people were shocked. People were
Okay.
genuinely shocked, sitting in the audience, seeing a woman use her body so fluidly and so confidently, so creatively when you were seriously pregnant, and
9
your
months.
bump was all the costume was there to emphasize, and
The
your belly
costumes
was
were
out,
awful.
and it
Yeah,
but it
she
did
was.
look it looked
Awful.
amazing, and people were shocked, but in a good way. So I remember that being all over the papers.
Yeah,
That
she,
The
image.
costumes
she
were
was
baby
she
grows.
was
They were
8 months
terrible.
pregnant then.
Yeah, you was
Nine.
And it wasn't.
you were about to drop.
Yes,
I
it
was.
So it was a
No, thanks for reminding me. That was actually good. I think that was one of the better
shocking
things.
image, because it was so different, and it was so positive. It was a really
Yeah, that was good.
gorgeous show. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, gosh.
Talking about Public Spirit,
Yep.
when I was at drama school, which was then the Capitol Theatre in Didsbury,
Yeah.
Jackie.
used as a venue, Public Spirit came, and some first years were asked to do a poster for them to advertise it, and they put Public Spurt. So we told them that that was wrong, and then it came back again as Pubic Spurt, which is the way I've always called them.
When was this, Richard? Which year?
1981, probably.
So I was already with Public Spirit.
It's probably 1981, or it might
You
have
sure it's
been.
not earlier?
It could possibly be 1980. I was there from 1979 to 82.
I would think it was probably more in that just before I joined
Yeah.
in 80.
Well, certainly the first time I met you was when you and Ricky did the Ball of the House of Usher at the Capitol.
Mhm.
At where?
That
At the
was
Horniman.
It used to be called the Capitol Theatre.
The Horniman.
The Horniman. It's
Yes.
got several names. It was also the
Yeah.
ABC at some
I
point.
didn't realize we did it there as well.
You
And
did.
then I started teaching there with Steve Purcell.
I was just entranced by it and followed you home.
No, you did, didn't you? Yes. And Bill Hopkinson followed us at some point as well. But where is he turning? He's not turning up, is he?
No.
Hi, Jackie. Is he refusing
No, I
to
think
come, Camden?
I think he's just not he's not been able to.
Because
I don't think there's any particular reason.
is he just being awkward?
I'm not sure if it's the kind of thing that Bill would actually come to.
Does he come to anything?
You know, he came to the green room event, the last event at the green room.
Yeah. That's where I saw both of you.
That's the last time I saw him.
And that's when I saw you and him
you
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
I were always confused because apparently we looked alike. I didn't think this. And I remember when I wrote French Paste, he'd written a thing called Lud, about the Luddites, which was very sick
Yeah. I
and
remember.
very good. And apparently somebody went up to him and said, I saw your play last night. It was hilarious. And he came up to me and said, what a depressing piece that was.
I used to work in Russia, and when I worked out of Sue's front room when I first started working for Lip Service after Foundation, and it was always interesting, especially if it was near a match day. It was a really busy, vibrant area. But
the football
Fatfield's
pitch,
just beautiful, isn't it? It's still been allowed to be a communal space, thank goodness.
And then we had the Birch Polygon. Jeremy Shine, Birch Polygon was one of the very first ever venues that received
Birch Polygon.
Interesting work, wasn't it? Barry Metro Arts and Birch Polygon.
Right.
Was that
That's what Jeremy was talking about
Edition.
last week, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Radiator.
was.
Yeah.
Did Jeremy join you last week? Oh.
Yes.
And Bush the time before. What about Stella?
Oh.
Has she been invited yet?
I'm not sure. And I'm not sure who's in touch with Stella. I think Ricky said that he was in touch with her.
Yeah,
Okay.
Maggie and Sue are in touch with Stella. Stella pops up okay. I think last time I saw her was at Sue's 60th, which wasn't that long ago.
Oh yeah.
I only found Ian Lashford on Facebook because he happened to appear in one of Gary's photos. I was scouring Gary's feed, and one appeared. There he is.
There's a lovely.
I'm trying to keep away from it, really.
Yeah.
Ian, there's a lovely photograph of you, and also I have to say one of me, but it's a different photo at the Never Going Underground March, and you're just behind Ian McKellen, and I was actually next to you, but we appear in two separate photographs.
Oh yes, I think I know what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. I was saying
28 March.
I've seen that photo. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. I've got the one of me. Just a minute.
Somebody sent it to me quite recently, actually. I can't remember who it was, though. Someone had managed to unearth it from somewhere.
I don't know whether you can see that.
Oh wow. God, look at you.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Where was this?
This was what was it? It was particularly about gay and lesbian parenting, I think.
What was it?
Clause 28 March, wasn't it? When the Tories tried to bring in the...
Okay.
You're right.
So, yeah.
Clause 28.
I can see it now. Stop clause 28 now. Yeah.
Great. Wow.
But there's a lovely one, a similar one, where it's caught Ian. We were just on the second row, and there's a nice one of Ian.
But you didn't know one another at that time, did you?
Did we or didn't we?
I think we did, Richard, to be honest. Yeah. I think I'd only just really moved to Manchester then.
I can't think why we were together, because we certainly were together and we were just behind the first row.
No, I've no idea.
No, I don't know.
You did several things with Ian, didn't you, Jackie? And I think
Yeah.
what was the last thing that you did together? Because I think you made some costumes with him and stuff like that.
Paradise Factory, I think. The Paradise Factory got us to do a special like turn, and yeah, we did. Oh God, Occasional Man by I can't remember who it was, and Ian sang.
Oh God, yes, I've forgotten all about that.
Yeah, and I made you like a bird's nest headdress with like actual little birds in it. I remember it was really weird because oh yeah, I'm being a bit loud. I hadn't told you what I was thinking of at all. All right, well, okay. I hadn't told you what I was thinking of doing, and then you turned up with these little birds, and it was really weird because I was gonna on the chair over there. Is that you read my mind basically, and ended up making. I've got loads of pictures, so I will dig them out at some point. So there was a stage full of us dancing to this song. Yeah, it was just a bit nuts.
Oh, hi,
But, yeah, at the venue, we did stuff at the venue. We did a version of Everyday Life Trilogies, maybe
What's
like a short version. Well, it's called The Venue.
Yeah,
that was the name of it.
Yeah, the venue.
Yeah.
Where was the venue?
Sorry, opposite a bit further down from the green room on Whitworth Street.
The nightclub.
Yeah, an
Nightclub,
underground.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
That's right. We did Everyday Life in Hollywood there, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Got some amazing pictures of that.
With David Hoyle was in that, and Ian.
There he was, wasn't he? Yes.
And Phil Dennison.
Gosh, it all comes back to you, doesn't it?
Karen and Lorraine, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah,
Karen and that? Can't remember.
Oh, Karen and Lorraine. Does anyone know?
Well, I think Lorraine became a dance teacher.
She did, yeah, salsa.
Yeah,
or something.
she was doing salsa.
Yeah,
she was
does
doing
salsa.
Really?
Salsa classes and movement class. Yeah, she was.
And her partner?
Well, she married the puppeteer chappie.
David.
Yeah.
David Mason.
So what were they called?
Dave Mason.
What was their company name?
Watson and Mason.
Watson and Mason.
That was
Nina
before.
Watson.
That's
yeah, it's Nina Watson.
Well, that's when Nina
was before
seeing him.
what?
Yeah, before Nina's
And they
life.
moved to Peterborough.
Yeah. Have you invited them?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Oh, that
I
was
bumped into this week. I bumped into Doreen Edwards. I don't know if you remember Doreen. Yeah, she used to be. Well, she's a singer. I met her through Tosh Ryans, and I made her a lot of costumes to when their band was supporting Lisa Stansfield on a tour. And bumped into her this week actually. So I was telling her about this. But she was in Ducott. She did this amazing scene. I don't know if anybody saw it or remembers it, but I think she was kind of up, sort of really high up some sort of ladder with this really crazy outfit. Went all the way down to the floor, covered in multicoloured condoms, and she just sang this thing that ended in like laughter, and it was absolutely brilliant. It just like filled the whole place. It was really like memorable. But
wow.
And we did, Ian, you might remember, Doreen, we did, do you remember when we did that fashion show at the town hall? When we did that bride, when you were like a bride?
I vaguely remember. I was very drunk, I seem to think.
Well, Doreen was your bridesmaid, well, one of them. And the other bridesmaid was Chris Pandolfo.
God, that's a name.
And little Anthony was dressed as a red devil. You know, does anybody know Little Anthony? Well, he died recently, actually. Little
Yes, she
Anthony.
did, didn't he? That's awful.
No, I
I
don't
didn't
know.
realise she was there.
Yeah, he was dressed
Okay.
as a red devil, which
Oh.
was, I didn't realise it was a big concession because he was a City fan. I'd no idea.
Oh, really?
It was absolutely brilliant. It was like the end of a fashion show. So, you know, like traditionally you have a wedding scene at the end of the fashion show, and they have the catwalk coming right down the centre of the Great Hall. And me and David Hoyle in the town hall, yeah. And me and David had spent all night the night before making a cassette tape as a, you know, as the music for our scene. And Dave Haslam was the DJ, and all he had to do was rewind the tape to cue it up, and he didn't. So like we were all ready, and he like fluffed it. Actually, yeah. Lee Baxter and Elton Jackson were in it as well, dressed as a zebra and a leopard, eating crisps. So all these crisps flying all over the place as well. It was great fun.
Wow. Doreen actually, Doreen is married to Simon. They have twins. And
Yeah.
she is Maxine's stepmother. And Maxine was Roshana's, my daughter's best friend at school for years and years and years. I mean, I'm still Auntie Becky to Maxine. So that's where my world connects with Doreen.
Yeah, she was saying that Simon got himself arrested the other day for blocking Boris Johnson's car on the way into Parliament. So he's really into Extinction Rebellion now.
Good one.
Right.
Yeah. And Doreen's a teaching assistant at Chorlton Park Primary School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Lucky kids.
Lucky
Here's
kids,
Lesley.
yeah.
Here she is.
Here's Lesley.
Here's our Les.
Hi, Les.
Les Kim.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Les Kim. Good to see you've got your drink, love. Cheers.
Got the fairy lights on as well.
I haven't had my tea yet. Liquid tea.
Rachel, where are you?
I live in Halifax.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
for years. It's a bit of a long story, but anyway, no, it's absolutely stunning around here.
Yeah.
And
It is. Yeah, lovely.
yeah, I never thought I'd stay, but it's just so glorious. I've got, life's changed. I've got 2 allotments, and you know, I've gone all woman of the earth.
You've got
Which
a
is
view.
kind of strange because I always thought I would hate living out of the city. I mean, I loved Manchester so much, and I left, you know, against my will, I would think is fair to say. But anyway, here I am, and here I stay. It's just absolutely glorious. Things change for a reason, don't they?
Have you got a barber shack here?
I've got to know an awful lot more visual artists around here, because the Calder Valley is just fantastic for artists. I tell you, it's just a slightly different creative buzz, but they are wonderful people, and also they get involved in shows. There's a lot of people, because when I worked for IOU Theatre when I came over here originally, that's why I thought, oh, I'll go and live in Halifax, because I knew at least there was a creative community here in a similar way to Manchester, and I think it's good for the soul. Wherever you can find it. But it's so great to hear about Manchester, because I still feel very poignant for Manchester.
Yeah.
The good days of creating and collaborating. I just hope they're still doing it, because obviously I've lost touch. But I believe they will. I believe they do. Hiya, Les.
Hey, mate. Get in there, pal.
Get in there, girl. Lesley, were you there when on the night of the Green Run opening? Do you remember it? All that, everything out of packing cases and very ad hoc, but it was a good night, wasn't it? You must have been there.
Yeah, they were all good, I thought. Really. people helping each other a lot more than
That's
they do
what I
these
remember,
days.
yeah. Very much so.
Well, I don't know whether they do that these days, but I felt that was one of the main things about those days.
Mm.
We weren't separate companies. We all worked with each other's companies, doing what our
Collaboratively.
specific talents were for that company.
It was a very
So
supportive environment, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And if somebody was trying to get an idea off the ground, no, there wasn't this sense of competition at all. It was like, oh, how do we help them get that happening then? Or, oh, that sounds good. I need to come up with a better idea. It was just everybody fed off each other, didn't they?
We were also very, very different, I think. I don't think there were any two companies that were doing the same thing. Hugely different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody was really stepping on each other's toes creatively, but they were happy to chip in. And certainly if people were short of a bit of kit or something, you know, people did lend each other a load of stuff, and people made fantastic costumes out of absolutely, you know, cool. It didn't matter. You just had a go. And some people still shone forth.
Costumes out of bin liners.
I love the bin liner costumes. I think things were felt a bit more simple rather than having to write, I don't know, however many pages to ask for permission to do something before you ask somebody who might do. I don't know. I mean, the bureaucracy has just really hit the shit, and I think now it's possibly changing again because we've just realized we've had too much of it.
Well, it seemed odd. You didn't have to ever fret about calling yourself innovative or groundbreaking, did you? I mean, those awful
We didn't use
application
those
forms,
words.
you know, are you innovative and exciting? Well,
yes,
you have to ask.
Yeah.
Of course.
If you have
Well,
to,
you have to, you have to say up front that you are, don't you?
Groundbreaking.
It's Manchester.
Was it you, Jackie, that made a dress for Betty Bourne made out of plastic forks and spoons?
No, that sounds good though.
It was a sort of Charleston dress.
And honest.
Made
Oh, wow.
plastic forks and spoons. It was hilarious.
That's nice. So that was like the fringing.
No, the whole dress was made out of plastic forks and spoons.
Yeah, so it sort of shimmied around.
Like a weird flapper dress, I guess.
Yeah. I can visualise it.
Yeah, but Les, you always got involved with costume, didn't you? A lot of the things you were in were really visually stunning, weren't they? They were loads of atmosphere, and a lot of it was people wearing, you know, quite evocative and provocative clothing, especially for women. You know, there wasn't a lot of prettiness going on for prettiness sake, was there? It was more about making an impact.
Impact, that's the word.
I did have some fish and chips.
Phil, let's see if we can hear you.
What would you like me to talk about?
That's it.
Yes, we can hear now. That's good.
All the what drugs helped you get through that period, because everybody else has been talking about their little helpers.
I've not heard anyone talking about drugs. Maybe I missed that bit. But I mean,
only since you came on.
Right. Well, I think it's probably best to work out which ones I didn't use, really.
Yeah, fair play.
I'm still kind of quite, one of the earliest things I did when I came to Manchester University, we did this play by Heathcote Williams, and I got trepanned on stage. And that's something that
That's dedication.
Yeah, I'd have a go at that, but only if I kind of like found a reliable doctor, and that's not happened yet.
Trepanation. Okay. Well, that's certainly unusual.
So, Phil, have you got a list of drugs you haven't taken during that time or any time? Is there a list?
Is
anything on the list?
I'm sure there's all sorts of different types of magic mushrooms, which are kind of like that I've not done. I've done all the conventional ones, the phleagric and things like that. But I bought a friend a book a few years ago and just realised that, oh my God, you're just scratching the surface when you take a few of them. So I've not licked toads, and I believe that can be quite efficacious.
Really?
Or it could kill you.
Depends
you don't
on
know where that toad's been.
Exactly. Depends on the toad.
Do you remember, Rebecca, when we were in Amsterdam and we did a performance of the show and Ricky came up, I think you were with him, and he said, "You were pissed tonight, weren't you?" And I said, "No, don't drink." And he said, "Not before a show." And he said, "Oh, it's fine. It was a really good performance, but you were pissed." So I said, "I wasn't pissed." And he said, "What did you do before the show? Where were you?" I said, "I went into that little cafe there and had a cake and a coffee."
I do not remember that, but that is really funny. Was that your only time?
I honestly did not know.
That's very exciting. Well, Phil, I'm kind of the opposite. I somehow drugs managed to totally pass me by for the whole 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
And you're
Just
looking
for a bit of weed every now and then I decided to sort of try a few in my 50s, you know. I mean, like, and then stop that one. But yeah, none. Interesting enough.
No, I kind of fell into it when I was quite young, just because of discovering magic mushrooms and having them having a wonderful effect upon me. So I thought I'll try everything else now.
Like you do.
I think that's
Have you ever thought of doing a tour of schools, Phil?
I have thought so, but you know, most of the teachers won't allow
I
me
like
near
on
them.
stage, high as a kite.
When I first came to Manchester and I was with Public Spirit, it was magic mushrooms they were talking about, because you could get them for free by just going out to wherever you go out. So Public Spirit and magic mushrooms
Rivington
was
Pike.
one thing, yeah.
By the way, I'm kind of thinking there's possibly two corrections. I think you must have known Ian by the time Clause 28 March happened, because that was quite late. Because I remember being on the march with David Hoyle, and I met him for a production I did with Camden, sort of like in the early 90s, and that was definitely after Empress. So I know you must have known Ian by then.
Oh, I think that was probably the thing we were just talking about before.
My
The
mind's so
venue.
muddled up, to be honest with you.
Well, when you were talking about the venue, I was kind of thinking David Hoyle wasn't in that one we did. It was Mike McQuell.
No, he was there. I don't know if he did anything, but he was definitely there.
Right.
I got the photos.
What we
I
did
seem to remember David being there.
We did make a film there. The Big Picture, I think it was called, and we.
Yes, good goodness, I remember that. That was the Humphrey Bogart spoof.
I think so. Yes.
Yes.
That's when I first really met David. So that was quite late.
Lovely, I think.
Can I just check? Is David Hoyle the same as the Divine David?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got you now. Yep. I mean,
10
and
points.
he was on telly doing his show for a bit, and then I've not seen anything
For quite
for a while. He was fantastic.
Let's try and invite David Hoyle and Amelia Bullmore, if anybody has
Oh,
contacts
Amelia,
to
do you
them.
think she'd come?
I think
Red
people are
Stockings.
likely to come if it's something about the past.
I think she would. I mean, Red
And Liz
Stockings
Pugh as well.
were an important feature, weren't they? And and other members of Red Stockings.
I did put the
We
thing
had
on
Carol.
Facebook. I don't think he looks at it very much.
Well, it would be. Liz Pugh is still based in Manchester, I believe. She still has.
I'm in touch with her, so I've just written down her name. Yeah.
Because she was involved in the original Red Stockings, and the other major woman was a woman called Helen Edmondson, who went on to write, but I haven't seen her for a very long time. So I think she was the mainstay, if I remember rightly.
And then there's Henny, but I think Henny is very unwell.
Well, Henny went off in a different direction. She go into PR or something. But yeah, last time I saw her, she wasn't so happy.
She was, I think she's really ill. Somebody
Yeah,
said
she
a
is.
while back. Yeah.
Carol was on this group a couple of times ago
Mm.
and was talking
Yeah.
about all that.
Michael Mayhew and that whole crew.
Oh, I did a job with Michael Mayhew a couple of years ago when he moved
2
down to
years ago?
Coventry.
What?
Yeah, quite
Oh,
recently. Yeah.
No, he stopped doing any artwork in the last sort of 2, 3, 4 years.
Well, it was. I think it might have been the last hurrah that I was working on with him.
Yeah, must
Yeah,
have been the
in
very
Coventry.
last thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that was quite something.
I've just remembered, Rivka. I think I went. You and Mike had a place in Crescents, didn't you?
No, I was never there. But we have a child between us instead.
Right, right. I'm sure I went with Fiona Watson once to a dinner with you and Mike at some place in the Crescents.
Yes, yeah. I can't remember who lived there. I was always visiting. I never actually lived in the Crescent. But various people lived there. Mike definitely did. But Fiona, I think, Cameron, you were saying we can't seem to find her.
I think Ricky's in touch with her.
Is he? Okay. That would be nice to see her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And James Stock as well would be another one who I have no contact for.
Yeah. I'm in touch with Nance Green.
Oh, Nance. Yeah, it'd be lovely to get Nina Watson. But
Nina Watson's on Facebook.
Yeah, I worked for Ducott for a short while, but well, actually, I was on their board for a short while. Well, quite a while. And I sort of see what she's up to on Facebook, but she still looks totally amazing, doesn't she? The part. I mean, what a woman.
Did anyone go to that amazing exhibition they did at the Zion Centre of Ducott's props?
Yes.
Oh my God, wasn't that amazing?
Wasn't it great? Yeah, because that was probably one of the last times I saw Nina in person.
It was a few years ago. Was it about 2014, something like that?
Yeah, it was a few years back now, but it was like a last hurrah. Sadly, they had to get rid of an awful lot of their puppets because they got moved out of their studio rather brutally. And well, the whole time was a bit difficult, wasn't it? But
was that before or after that exhibition?
I think the exhibition, it was what they'd been able to keep. Yeah, that was the sort of salvaged end of it. But there was so much more. But they had a space in Z Arts, and then I think they had to give that up as well. So I don't know how much has survived of their archive. It would be good to know, good to talk about it.
Yeah, I've got this really bizarre mannequin, an automated mannequin from a small pizza place on Burton Road in West Didsbury, and I bought it to put in my fancy dress shop window, and it had this arm which was supposed to go like that, but it went like that. And it had silverfish as well. It really wasn't a good idea to bring it to the shop, but anyway, it had this really scaggy, manky, horrible head, and so anyway, it was called Georges Silverfish. And when I did a job for Nina, well, for Ducott actually, for Nina and Rachel. I made the Joseph Boys felt suit.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, I made like a replica of that for them. They drove me out to this factory in North Manchester somewhere where they had this special really, really heavy duty. I think it was for sewing carpet actually. So they set me up in this factory on this sewing machine to sew this felt suit together, and that was in that exhibition as well. Sorry,
was that for Gollum? Was that for the Gollum?
Yeah, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah. And while they're in the shop, they spotted Georges, and I really liked him. And said, "Well, you can have him if you want." So they took him away, and the next time I saw him, he'd been totally reconditioned, and he was in the exhibition in Zion Art Centre.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing what they'd done. They totally sorted him out, and he had like a clear perspex chest, so you could see all the workings with this amazing mechanism. It was really great. Still got a scaggy head, but
Tell you who I think really would be a good contributor just for posterity, though I'm not sure if if he wouldn't be technologically challenged, but Giles Hayworth. I've got his
Oh,
photo.
Giles.
Yeah, everyone must
Wow.
everyone must remember Giles.
But
Yeah.
is he,
The guy who
is
came
he
to
still
every
alive?
production.
He
Yeah.
was he's,
I
he was
don't know
still
if he
he
is.
was still alive the last I kind of saw him fairly
Last time you saw him.
well, I used to see him regularly in the Hume Library.
Oh, it's such a nice man.
He's not
Didn't
kind of
he
like
just see everything?
he did used to see everything.
He
Yeah.
made a
does-
point of it, and he
Yeah.
kept it
That would
all
be
on
amazing.
record. I mean, he'd know every single thing that had
Mm.
happened.
Great.
That
And
would be
so
amazing.
charming and sweet. Lovely guy.
I've got a phone number for him, Canban, so I could pass that on
Yes,
to you as a
yes.
possibility.
That would be
Yes,
great
do
to
that.
see him.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
sure
do
he'd
that.
like it too. I'm sure
Because
he would like it.
the article that's on this meeting that I wrote for his magazine in 1989.
Didn't we all?
Alright.
That was written for the Manchester Fringe article was written for Manchester Magazine, which he briefly ran.
He ran it all the time it was there, which was a year.
What's the name of the woman who also came to see pretty much everything, who worked maybe for the Arts Council?
Who worked for the art?
Maggie, maybe? Was it another Maggie? Not Maggie Clark, but Maggie.
Not Maggie Sampson, who was a reviewer.
Hudson rings a bell.
Maybe it is Maggie Sansom, I'm thinking.
Well, Maggie Sansom, unfortunately, is no longer with us.
Ah,
She didn't work for the Arts Council. She was
She didn't work for
a
the
journalist. Yeah.
She worked. No, she worked
She
for
was
City
a,
Life.
she was a
Yeah.
contributor.
Charlotte,
right.
Charlotte Keith.
But the Arts
Charlotte.
Council, Maggie. I can't remember an Arts Council, Maggie.
no, I mean Maggie Sansom then.
No,
didn't
I think
yeah.
Richard was right. Charlotte Keatley, was it?
She came to almost everything. You sit at the back.
Charlotte was more of a writer than a kind of chronologist or anything. But yeah, she came to an awful lot
She
of stuff.
did come to everything, and she used to make notes, which was a bit unnerving. And of course,
Perhaps she wanted to be a journalist on the quiet. Who knows?
she wrote
I remember she did come to Empress. I remember Richard. She came to Empress,
She did.
and she sat at the back and wrote notes all the way through it, which was rather odd. Yeah.
I was doing the same backstage.
I think a lot of the actors involved in it were as well.
Well, like that show got panned, but I was very fond of it.
I was as well.
Loved it.
Talking about people who we haven't seen here yet, Richard, who was the actor we had with us for a while, and it's something to do with chips or chip shop.
Oh, Adolf Chippan, whose real name is Steve Everts.
That was in movie,
Um,
or something like that.
no, he wasn't in movie, but I certainly worked with him a lot. He later became. Did you see the series Rev with Tom Hollander? Because he was in that, and he's very often on TV. Steve Everts, who's
Yes.
He pronounces
Steve
it.
Evans. Steve Evans. Yeah.
It's a Vets, he pronounced it. Yeah, we all
You
met
put
him.
that to- I mean, I thought he was okay
his comedy name was Adolf Chippan.
because he worked in the chip
Was that
shop or
him?
something.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was trying to place this guy because I saw his name come up
I'd like us to
in a-
find him. Can
in a
you find
film
him,
in a
Richard?
film of
I actually about 2 years
Andrea Arnold's.
wrote to his
Andrea
editor
Arnold's film.
said I'd like to work with him. I hadn't heard.
I see Steve every now and then. He sort of like goes, you know, there's a place in near Prestwich where there's a regular night called Shangri-La, and he's a bit of a regular up there. He would appear that.
I love Steve, and it was Steve was in The Odd Couple. That's when I met him. That you directed.
Yeah. He
I
was,
remember The Odd Couple.
but he was. I couldn't remember him because he was a very forgettable actor. Well,
He was then, but
That's damning.
I think he was the best thing in that show. I mean, he was the most solid of all of us.
Very much.
I think you were, Phil.
Sorry, when did you meet him, Richard? When did you meet him?
Upton did a production of The Odd Couple by Neil Simon.
Yeah, which year are you talking?
Oh God, I don't know. When was
Fucking
it?
hell, come on.
1993, I think that would have been.
No, that's not the guy I mean. That's what I mean. Go further back. Go to movie. We worked with the guy. There were still chips involved in some way. I'm sure there was a chip shop or a chip, but he was not called Steve. He might have been another David. I'm not sure. He had dark hair. He was working with us, and I have no idea what happened to him. And I think you fancied him.
Oh, I probably did, but
Well, you fancied everybody, but you fancied him. So does that help?
no.
This is early 80s. I'm talking early 80s, not early mid 80s, not 90s.
And when
Were
you
there
say,
two productions of
Frank.
The Odd Couple?
we own.
No, we're 10 years apart, I think, at
Yeah.
this moment.
Yeah.
Anybody has any idea who I'm talking about?
No.
It would only be you, Richard, actually.
It rings a bell. It makes me think of somebody who was he was tall and slim like Richard.
Dark hair.
Dark hair, quite swarthy.
Yeah.
But I can't remember his name either.
No. We lost him somehow, but we found him from somewhere, and then he sort of disappeared. But I've no idea how he. I mean, that's quite strange. Somebody sort of arrives and there's no evidence. Maybe Ricky will know. Ricky will have an archive on him.
Does anybody know the whereabouts of Guy Holloway?
No.
And what happened to Guy Holloway? Did he move to
No,
Portsmouth or
I
something?
was wondering about him a few weeks ago, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Surely by now he must have met an end in a horrible car crash. He must have.
Surely.
It's getting very macabre.
He once gave me a lift, and it absolutely
We
terrified
don't want to
me.
hear about it.
Oh, God.
Oh,
Who's
dear.
Was this in the era of Frank Sidebottom as well? I was, in those novelty, thinking of the Green Room, the novelty acts that got going, Carolina Hearn, all the stand-up, Steve Coogan.
Guy Holloway wasn't really an official
I remember
novelty
doing a
act.
quiz with Steve Coogan at the Green Room.
Was Frank Sidebottom
Rather pissed at the time.
Fellows?
I was teaching him at the Capitol, Rachel.
Yeah.
Who? Steve Coogan?
Mm-hmm.
Was
With Steve Purcell. Yeah, doing improvisation,
Taught him everything he knows, honey. Everything he knows.
Everything.
Timing.
All in
Frank-
about 3 sessions.
Ah.
A whole lot.
Frank Sidebottom predates the Green Room as far as I can remember.
Yeah, he was a bit. He
Am I right
just
that
turned
Frank
up, didn't he? At
Sidebottom
things.
Am I right that Frank Sidebottom is Graham Fellows?
No.
Well, he was. He's died, hasn't he, love?
Frank,
Hasn't he?
No, Graham Fellows is due to John.
Yes, I know, but he also does a comedy character. I can't remember.
John Shuttleworth.
That's right.
John Shuttleworth, yeah. I see good.
Oh my goodness, John Shuttleworth is. Oh my goodness, I didn't know he was the same one.
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing, and he's still going strong
Oh yes, he's doing well.
with his gentle humour.
Yeah.
I see Bernard around, who was Gordon is a moron.
Very good, very good.
He's a real person.
And he's still a moron.
Yeah. At our church, when I used to be frog marched to church, there was Father Gordon. I'll never forget when he said that he'd been away and he came back, and it was in the 70s. He came back, and the song that was #1 in the hit parade was Jilted John, and he stood there at the altar and said, and it says, Gordon is a moron. Gordon is a moron. Gordon is a moron. It's brilliant.
Fabulous.
Graham wrote that when he was a drama student. He was in 3rd year when I was in the 1st year at the Manchester Poly. And he wrote it for a bet because he famously couldn't sing. and he said, "Keep bravado." He said, I'll bet you £100 I'll get to number 1. And the bastard did.
Wow.
I love that song.
It's brilliant.
And you're just going to have to tell Steve he blew it, Camden.
He blew it, yeah. He could come in the next.
I remember.
All these people that were so excited to see him. And
I know.
Time.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it? There was a great joke that you used to tell Rachel about Steve and
You're passing the
Rebecca.
time, Camden, aren't you?
Yeah,
What did I say?
tea on purpose.
I think, Camden, if this is going to be embarrassing, I can't remember this. Come on,
What is it?
embarrass me. What did I say about Steve and Rebecca? I tried to think.
Yeah. What was it?
You said, Steve, you really should stop Rebecca walking over you in muddy boots. And
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then Steve said, "Okay, Rachel."
But I love it. I love it. He said.
Next time, he said, "Next time I'll ask her to wipe some of the mud off first."
Very good line.
Oh, I love that.
God, I don't think I've heard this before. This is. God, where is it?
I must have been terror drunk.
But it's all recorded, so
I
you
usually
can hear
was. Oh, Rebecca, there's you with your muddy boots.
What muddy boots? Where did that come
What
from?
muddy boot?
Never mind.
What's the mud thing?
I don't know.
Stop.
I mean, as if I was walking in any mud in those days. The 80s were not about mud. They were about shoulder pads.
It must relate.
It was
I don't think I
metaphorical.
thought it come. Yeah, whatever.
The metaphorical mud on your boots.
I think it relates.
It's not
to,
even as if he's here to answer for himself.
I'm sure it relates to something during a performance or a get in or a get out or something where somebody fell over in mud and then trampled on him and he. It sounds like that.
People were prone to abusing his generous spirit, it has to be said. If Rebecca had muddy boots on, she wasn't the only one. Right here, Rebecca.
No, it wasn't.
He revelled in muddy boots. The more mud, the better.
That's right.
Yes.
Mhm.
And do you remember do you remember all the stories he was telling us about the length of cables as well?
Oh, length of cable with the
length
wood.
of cables were very, very important.
3 for 9 and a 5 for 2. I never knew what he was talking about.
It was painful. He's not even here yet. But he knows that.
He was thorough.
Well, you had to. I worked for him actually, and you had to. You had to put the cables up on the right thing. He had a little peg sticking out of the wall, and you had to wrap the cables up in a certain way, and then tie them up, and then you put them on the right thing. And if you put them on the wrong thing, then the wrong length cable on that thing, because it's the 1 meter cables that go here, and then the 2 meters go here, then 1.5s go here, and all this kind of thing. It's very organized.
Tell you what though, if you think about it, the green room would not have functioned without Steve. Steve's the one person that kept that place going. It wouldn't have functioned. Those mad.
Well, there were some of the other people like, Rachel and Stella and people who were working on it as well. But yeah, he was the king. He was the king, wasn't he? He was the king. I mean, you ask anybody who played the green room at that time, and they'll all say, "Oh yeah, Steve Curtis. How's he? What's he doing now? I remember him, because he was the guy that he was the number one guy there. He was the guy that got them in.
What I'm meaning about him being the sort of kingpin is, I agree. Other people like Stella and yourself, Rachel, and what have you. But I'm thinking about all the mad companies that turned up, including Raw Material, with completely off the wall ideas.
Oh, he made
no structure, whatever. And Steve made it work for people. He bent over backwards for even for you know, performances where you just go, oh my God, that is so awful. You know, whoever they, I can't remember who they were, but he
Mike
would make
Mayhew
it
with
perfect.
bloodletting, or other people who
Yeah, he was a
blood all over
star.
the
They were
place.
beautifully lit, though, weren't they? Yeah.
But he was always
No,
very
but that was
pleasant.
the bit he loved. He loved getting stuck in. He loved problem solving. He loved
Mm.
coming up with wacky ways to solve strange creative problems. I think he missed that actually when he left. His ears must be burning by now. Where is he?
Because
I
then he went to
see.
the
We talked
contact,
about
then he
you for
went to the
ages.
Zion. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
we'll have to get him on next time.
Yeah, let's do next
So
time.
obviously,
All right.
See you
Nice to
next
see you all.
time.
Have a good evening
okay.
and catch up again soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See you
bye
later.
everyone.
Be creative.
Bye.
Bye.